This?
Yeah, I actually just emailed him to ask
The clicker?
in December.
But then we had a
And it's like, why? Why? What are you trying to prove?
Good evening. The time is now 6 o'clock. I'm going to call to order the Parks and Rec meeting. And as the first order of business, since we do not have a chair or vice chair at this meeting, I'm going to ask that you all appoint somebody to be tonight's meeting facilitator.
you have to say that.
I would like to nominate Scott.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Hennis, for facilitating tonight's meeting.
Thank you. We'll stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda, do we have any amendments or additions to this current agenda? Okay, motion that we accept this agenda.
A motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Agenda is accepted. Now we will introduce the board and staff members.
Yes, everyone. Well, thank you all for coming tonight. I know this is the first meeting for several of you tonight, so I think it's important that we all get to know each other a little bit better. So I would ask Mr. Tim McNeely, he is our recreation manager, to introduce to you here the staff with the town of Leland that works in the recreation department. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Neil Brooks. I'm assistant town manager. I was going to make Tim just introduce me, I guess, but I'm the assistant town manager. So part of my role, what I do here at the town is the way the town's set up. We have different departments that fall under different town managers. So myself as assistant town manager, I support the Parks and Recreation staff. PRCR is what we call it, Parks, Recreation, Cultural Resources. Also planning, economic development, public works, streets, that side of the house. So that's kind of what I do here. So with that, Parks and Recreation falls with me. So I'm going to let Mr. Tim McNeely, who's our recreation manager, introduce himself and all the rest of the staff. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure for us to speak to you and talk to you this evening. I am just going to advance this slide just a little bit ahead of our presentation, just so you can see and as we introduce the staff, because not all of our staff are here this evening. But behind me to my left are the recreation supervisors that work with me, Amy Wells and Kirsty Armstrong. They do an excellent job. They have been, most of us with the team are relatively new. I joined this group and spoke to you guys last summer, so I've been with the town about a year. These are two of the most senior members of our team, and so and they do a great job. Also to my right behind us, and it's going to be part of our presentation tonight, is Zoe. She's one of our senior recreation specialists. She mainly works with our events, scheduling a lot of things, and we'll talk about that as we go through the presentation this evening. Also joining us, if you guys will stand, from my left to right, Brenna is our senior recreation specialist, does a lot of work with our marketing and our social media. Molly is in the middle. She has joined us. She is a senior recreation specialist that works with our programs, both in and out of the facility, with the park when it comes back online, and a lot of our programs within the facility. And Miranda is our senior recreation specialist, working directly with our pottery, and she is one of our newest staff members. She's only been with us like a couple months, and so she does a great job, and real excited to have her on board. Also, what you may see as part of the presentation, not present, Jeff Bell is our custodian over at the Cultural Arts Center. He actually reports to Public Works, but being a direct member in our facility all the time, wanted to make sure we introduced him. And then Cameron Lewis is our recreation specialist. She works with us part-time. She's also relatively new. And also Karen Payton, on the bottom left on the presentation slide, she's our senior recreation specialist. She works at our desk there at the Cultural Arts Center. So both Karen and Cameron are actually working at the Arts Center this evening because the facility is still open. So with that happening, we couldn't all be here. So just wanted to make sure we introduce them as well. So.
Thank you, Tim.
Also, a couple other members that we have here to support staff is you guys have met Ms. Sabrina Reinhardt. She's our town clerk. She's she does most of the boards. She's actually working to transition some of the boards to Adam Kolanka. Sorry, Adam. I don't know how to pronounce your name yet. This is Adam's second week, so Adam is new. So he's deputy town clerk. So he's going to be learning a lot from Sabrina here in the next few weeks, few months, to eventually be working more with you boards specifically. I do want to say one thing for Sabrina. Sabrina is the president of the North Carolina Clerks Association, so you are in very, very good hands. You have the top clerk in the state here working with you as well. And also Ms. Paige Inman is our town attorney. Hopefully we don't have to use Paige for anything very often, but Paige does a great job of, she reviews any kind of contracts, things like that we have as well, and supports the board and makes sure that we all stay out of trouble. So we're very happy to have Paige here as well. And let's see, did I forget anybody? I don't. And also too, we have a guest here, Grayson. He is going to be hopefully our student rep to the Parks and Recreation Board. So hopefully here in the next month, the council will appoint him, and he'll be joining you for your future meetings as well. So that's that. But I think it would be helpful now for you guys to introduce yourselves to the other board members. Let's just kind of say who you are, where you're from, kind of what got you interested in Parks and Recreation while you're on the board.
We'll start down with
Okay, I'm Beth Dimmenstein. I know Paige. I've been in Leland just 4 years. I moved here because my son insisted I live closer to him and his children. I lived at Holden Beach for close to 20 years, not on the beach because I'm poor. I work in family law. I've done it for 40 years, family law, 40 years. I work for an attorney in Wilmington. I know everything there is to know about family law, just ask. I don't know what else I can tell you. I have 2 grandchildren. One just started kindergarten in Belleville. And my grandchildren live on one side of Village Road. I live at the Willows. And how did I get interested in them? One of your board members said to me one day, she said, you should join one of the committees in Leland. It would be a nice thing to do. And I looked and I said, Park and Rec was a really good show. I think I'll join that committee. And that's literally why I'm here. So I'm waiting to get which part I'm going to have. So here I am. That's it. Can I tell you?
All right. I'm Mallory. I'm originally from Long Island, New York, if you can't tell by my lovely accent. I'm a mom of 4 kids, 3 boys, 1 girl. And so I worked actually doing community outreach in public libraries on Long Island for 11 years. So a friend of mine had recommended, she's like, you really need to get involved with Parks and Rec. Like, you'd be perfect for it. And I mean, my kids, we utilize it. We love programs. We want to see more programs and get more involved in it. So that's kind of really why I'm here.
That's a good reason.
Scott Hennis. I've been on the board since 2020, I think. I've lived in Leland 15, 16 years. I was born in New Hanover Hospital. I'm one of the rarities.
Wow.
I work for a homeless outreach, so I spend my days around a bunch of drug addicts and people living on the street. I have 2 kids, 17 and 19. My 17-year-old just moved to Ohio this past weekend to play ice hockey. He'll finish his senior year there. I think that's it.
I'm Ariane Sitter. I live in the Willows, and I have a 6-year-old who'll be 7 next month. And that's why I kind of joined the Parks and Rec Board, just obviously advocating for more things for children to do in the area. And can't wait till the park's done. And then I work at Duke Energy in Southport.
I'm Emily Donovan. I have a background in communications. I worked in the private sector in Charlotte for many years before we moved to Leland, and I've been here for 15 years. I transitioned to ministry work, and I did youth ministry for about 7-8 years before becoming communications director at a local church in Wilmington, and so that's where I'm currently employed. On the side, I'm co-founder of Clean Cape Fear. It's a grassroots community group that has been fighting PFAS contamination in our region and trying to hold that polluter, Chemours and DuPont, accountable, and we've been super successful with that, so really proud of that work. The Parks and Rec Board was not something I dreamed of ever joining. No disrespect to Parks and Rec. I just was not on my radar. But I have actually spent a lot of time at the Leland Culture Arts Center begging for programming for teenagers. And so I'm really excited to try and maybe grow visions of things that are family-centric for Leland, because there is a huge need for it in this area, and so I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you, everybody. Now we'll move on to the oath of office.
Actually, I'm just going to stand over here at the.
Sabrina, do you want them to come down front?
Yes, please. For the newest members to come down front. Thank you.
Want your thing?
Yeah, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it. And
Oh, she's gonna
repeat what I say. Okay. We're going to do it together, so it'll be a team effort. So you can put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. I, and state your name.
I, Emily Donovan,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will be faithful
that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state
to the state
of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers
and to the constitutional powers
and authorities which are
and the authorities which are
or may be established
or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
that I will endeavor
that I will endeavor
to support, maintain,
maintain,
and defend
the Constitution
of said state,
not inconsistent
with the Constitution
of the United States,
and
that I
will faithfully
execute the duties
of my office
as
a Park and Recreation Board member
of the town of Leland,
according to
the best of my skill
and ability,
and ability,
and according to the law,
so help me God.
Now we'll move on to the election of officers, starting with the chair. Do I have a motion to appoint a chair?
A motion for Scott as a chair.
I'll just go ahead and second that motion.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah. All that means I have to read more.
You said it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Sorry, Scott.
All right, there's that. Do I have a motion to appoint a vice chair?
That'd be you, right? I don't mind, that's fine.
Well, I guess I'll motion to nominate Ariane.
Do I have a second?
Oh, I'll second it. I like seconding.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Or any opposed? Alrighty, we have a new chair and vice chair. Moving on to the approval of minutes. Does anyone have any amendments to the minutes? Can someone make a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Introduction of guest speakers. Do we have any guest speakers? Public comment.
No one signed up for public comment.
See, that's where we're not like Parks and Rec, the TV
I
show.
got it.
Yeah. I wish. That would be so awesome. Who wants?
We'll invite.
Presentation and discussion, PRCR Parks Program and Events update by staff.
All right, well, thank you all very much for getting that business out of the way. You do have two other Parks Board members here who were unable to be here tonight. Michael Long, he's been the chair in the past, and also he works with Boys and Girls Club, so he's a good one. And Mr. Art Dietrich, he's a retired gentleman, was big into I believe it was Army recreation. But he's actually coming back from overseas, so he will. Both of those gentlemen will join us for future meetings. So you'll have some more folks up there. So moving into the business for tonight, I thought it was really important to give you guys kind of an overview of the overall Parks Department. Just kind of get a view of kind of how it operates, who does what. And also the things that are going on in the town, the types of programs we have going on, the types of events. So Mr. McNeely is going to run through that for us here this evening, and then he's going to turn it over to Ms. Zoe, who's going to talk a little bit more about some of the special events that we got going on. Also some changes that we have coming up with the new park coming online. Obviously that's really affected our programming for the past 6 months and will continue to until the park is open. So talk a little bit about that. And so I think this is going to be a pretty exciting meeting tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to Tim and let him get us going.
Well, first I would say that I want to thank you guys for your willingness to step up and step into those roles for us as chair and vice chair. What we wanted to do tonight, especially since we have some new staff and there's new board members, is let people see names with faces first and foremost, but also for me personally to give an opportunity to praise the work that they do for the programs that we do, and we're going to talk a little bit about that because it takes a great deal of effort and time to put on the programs and run the facility, and it's an opportunity for us to thank them for the work they do and also thank you guys for helping us. The other thing I think is important for us because several of you have mentioned about programs and opportunities, whether it be for youth or seniors. And our goal tonight is to engage you in some conversation and get some ideas for you that the staff can then take back. And as we talk about future programs, specifically at the Cultural Arts Center and also at Founders Park across the street, as we anticipate the reopening of that, if you have ideas and thoughts, we are looking for that type of feedback to build on what we're already doing. And so we wanted to kind of introduce and tell you a little bit about what's coming up, because next week we will start our fall winter season. We just wrapped up our spring and summer this past week, and so we wanted to kind of jump into that a little bit. So I'm going to skip over the staff slide, but the next couple slides, what I wanted to show you guys is a little bit about what's coming up in September for some of the things that we're doing. I will not go through this list line by line, but some of the new things that we will do, and this is just a sampling of programs that we're offering out of our PRCR staff in the Cultural Arts Center. This is not conclusive of everything we do because we have a great deal number of fitness class, youth dance classes or children's youth dance classes, private lessons, the pottery classes that we offer, as well as painting, stained glass, a lot of things that take place at the Cultural Arts Center. But just to kind of highlight some of the things that have come on board recently, the boat tour is one of the top things there at the top. As you go down through the list, different opportunities for kayaking, artistic type classes such as the crafty class. The Leland We Don't Know, some of you probably are familiar with that. You may have done that tour. It's something that we do where the mayor actually takes groups on a tour of the town and talks about the history of the town. The youth homeschool studio, opportunities for us to introduce youth and children that are homeschooled into things educational wise within the facility, whether it be a painting class or taking an opportunity to expose themselves to pottery. So those are just some of the things. And if you look at the, when we were putting all this together, if you look at those dates, I suddenly become a little overwhelmed because it seems like there's something every day of the month. And for us, that's kind of true. Here's some other opportunities, both programs and workshops. Again, some art type things with the painting door hangings, the boat tour, the Dolphin Sunset Cruise, something that people can sign up for, where they can come to us to do that versus trying to find a private business. We basically arrange that for them. And then obviously some gardening and birding walks there at the end. So that's just a sampling. And so what we would ask you to think about is, what are some other opportunities that you guys feel like we could offer or engage in our community? And so feel free to stop me at any time and say, hey, Tim, I have a great idea. Here's what you guys need to do, because that's the type of feedback that we're looking for. Feel free to share now if you have anything. If not, throughout the course of the presentation, feel free to chime in at any time. Okay. We will go into fall and winter. These are just things that are going to start to stretch into, when we all get comfortable and it starts to cool down and we get closer to the holidays. We do social dances, both swing and Latin, at the Arts Center on a regular basis throughout the year. Exciting event, Bluegrass Bowls and Baskets. If you didn't get an opportunity to come to that program last year, we would invite you on October 11th. We have a bluegrass band, bowls and baskets. We have some of our potters and basket makers there with their wares to sell those or give those out, as well as we have a chili competition between the police and the fire department. If I remember correctly, fire won last year. So year one, the fire department has bragging rights. So Friday, October 11th, come on out. Trunk or treat, another big tradition with our team and the town. We're going to be displaced one more year out of the park, but that program will come back in all of its full glory back into Founders Park in 25. The holiday art market, kicks off December 6th. That's the same day of the Leland and Lights. The grand illumination where we light up the park and town hall. We'll talk a little bit about that in more detail further in. Wilmington Big Band was a big hit last year. And so then we just get into some of those holiday things. Century Santa and some of those. Again, it's one of those where I would tell you, if you think about other events that you guys might be interested in or have ideas about that might have been in other communities that you would like to share with us, we most definitely would love to hear about it. Tree lighting 2024, just going to give you a quick overview. Obviously, with construction continuing in Founders Park and really, coming close to finishing up in Founders Park, and then starting construction on Town Hall expansion in the parking lot outside, we're going to be limited again this year as to what our tree lighting program will look like. So we'll do the tree lighting out front on Town Hall Plaza again. We'll have lights and trees and bushes around Town Hall, as well as what we put up at the fire departments last year. So there'll be some in those locations. And then we'll have Santa's visits and letters to Santa taking place that evening. I believe we also just have confirmed that in the last couple of days, we typically have food trucks. They will be stationed across the street at the brewery. We've got them to work with us to have those across the street. And so this year's program will again be scaled back compared to what the town has been accustomed to in the past. But this is something that will definitely be growing and expanding in 25 when we move back into the park. With that said, we want to give you a little bit of an update about the park, and I don't know that I will do these sections justice. Will, the project manager of this, is most definitely, but if you walk by, you can definitely see the progress if you kind of pay attention. There's some fresh sidewalks that have just gone in this week, but the pavilion and the amphitheater are standing, though they're not completed. The parking lot curb and base is reaching its conclusion, and it'll be ready for asphalt soon. The Perry Avenue rebuild, if you look at it, you can see where it stretches out to Old Fayetteville. So it's reaching its conclusion, and at some point they'll be doing final grading work and paving, and we're anticipating the completion late this calendar year, though no definitive final dates have been set. Some of the upcoming work that's going on is Duke's hookup for the installation of the power, the framing and installation of some final things at both of those facilities, final grading of Perry, which I mentioned, and then of course the installation of the lighting around the park as we come close to finish that. That's kind of just a photo of what we anticipate the stage of the amphitheater looking like. I know our team is highly excited to get back in there to be able to do things within the amphitheater, concerts, movies, different things, and those are some of the things that we'll talk about as we move forward. Again, completion end of the year sometime. As we get a little closer and know a little bit more detail about the exact date, we'll be sharing that. That gets us into what do we plan there? What do we program there? So some of the things that we want to talk about for 2025, we anticipate doing a ceremonial ribbon cutting sometime in January, February. It will be what we might call a soft opening of the park, even though it will not be the formal opening, because the sod that will go down in that area will go down when it's dormant, and so that will not start growing in until May or June. Obviously, the splash pad is a warm water facility that we will, anticipate a April-May timeframe when we will start that. So those are type things that will be later in the spring. So with that said, the grand reopening event will be a late May event. That's when we do a bigger event, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we move forward. But we'll be looking at concerts in the park. We're looking at a couple dates in June, a couple dates in July, a date in August, as well as family events in the park. A couple of dates in June, a couple of dates in July. Those are things that could be movies or something, and those are some of the things that we're really interested to know from you guys if you have thoughts about that, And if you don't have thoughts tonight, if you engage with citizens and or friends, family that present some ideas, we'll be glad to hear those at any future meeting. Yes, Scott.
For the amphitheater, is the town installing sound equipment or anything like that, or is it going to be event-based?
No, it'll be event-based. Yeah, so we'll be working with event companies to stage for the bands.
Okay.
And I misspoke, did I? Okay, all right. Fall 25 events, we're actually looking out a year from now. A large-scale community event. That's kind of a joke, a little bit of a joke in the office, but that's what most of us may know as Founder's Day. It was an event that was run in September, traditionally, got impacted by hurricanes on a couple different occasions. It's been pushed back and moved to October. I don't know that we've settled on exactly what that event may be called, but it will be a large-scale event that we do annually in October. Trunk or Treat, October 25th, a year from now, and then we'll also be looking at concerts and family events in the park in September and October and November. So those are some of the things that we're already looking ahead for a year from now and trying to plan those out and what we may or do. Oops. Founders Park 2025, the holiday events. We already have the dates on the calendar. December 6th, Grand Illumination. That's where both, Town Hall and Founders Park will be relit in its entirety for the first time. We'll have a holiday concert December 12th, a movie planned for the 13th, and then we'll be resuming the train rides on Friday and Saturday nights for families within the park. And so if you're not familiar with that, I have not been with the town long enough to see that take place, but we look forward to those a year from this holiday season. So here's some of the things that we're talking about and thinking about. And this is some of the things that the staff has done in the park and some of the things that we feel like we can do in the park. And this is really where we're looking for some feedback if you guys have some comments. Health and wellness programs we can do on the stage and in the dance area in front of the stage. Anything along the lines of a bar class, a Zumba class, any type of fitness that we could do outdoors. Environmental education, gardening, birding workshops. And then cultural arts types program where we could do a painting class, sketching, theater, the air painting. Do you guys have thoughts or any ideas that we might add to that list?
Too soon.
Too soon?
Too soon.
Okay. Well, please think about it and feel free to call us, email us. But these are the things where we're going to present ideas to you as what we're thinking. If you're opposed to any of those ideas, you're not going to hurt our feeling. We're like, Tim, that's not a good idea. But if you have ideas, this is where we're really looking for feedback because they have lots of ideas in their head. But we also want to embrace the fact that you guys are serving on the board for a reason, and we want to be receptive to your comments and to your feedback. I'm going to pass the baton over to Zoe, who works in our events, and we have 2 or 3 particular things that we definitely want to pass by you this evening because we are looking to make some changes to a couple things. But we want your feedback on it before we formally go any further with those plans and then talk further with town leadership and council about making those changes. And so I asked Zoe to come up and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, Tim. All right. So over the last year or more, while we have waited for the park to be completed, while we've waited for the grass to grow, we've really had an opportunity to assess all of our events that we do in the park, assess how we engage with the community, how the community engages with one another, and how we are serving the community with our events. We've done SWOT analysis of our events and taken a look at what really we love that we're doing and what could be doing a better job of serving the community. And we've identified a few events that we think could be doing a better job. And so we want to take this time to bring these events to you and ask you some questions about what you think about these events, and then also use this time to talk about the Founders Park grand reopening and what you think this could look like. So we are going to start with our egg hunt event. If you have experienced our egg hunt event, and I know Scott is a professional with our egg hunt event, this is a very high energy event. This typically has had age-limited egg hunts, so they're restricted into different groupings around a park. It has been most recently at Northwest District Park, and then prior to that at North Brunswick High School. The last 2 years, we've actually needed to move indoors to the Leland Cultural Arts Center due to weather issues. But these egg hunts are big and
Zoo.
chaos.
Yeah.
Someone just said a zoo,
horrible.
yes. They are very energetic, and there's a big focus on winning at these events. This event also offers visits with the Easter Bunny. And after 45 minutes or so, everything is over. All the prizes have been given out, all the eggs have been opened, everybody's visited with the bunny, and everybody's going home, and you've either won a prize or you didn't. And that was kind of your experience. When our staff reevaluated this event or reassessed this event, we really thought about how can we create more opportunities for engagement. And a lot of this stemmed from the last 2 years having to move inside. When we moved inside, we created more opportunities for people to participate in the event. We created a longer event that lasted for 3 hours where kids who were participating in sports practices or participating in dance practices over the course of the day could also come to the egg hunt who weren't able to get there at 10 o'clock on the dot. Kids who maybe weren't runners, the kids who weren't going to be chasing after the eggs, the kids who weren't going to be fighting for the eggs at our traditional hunts. We also created other opportunities to participate, like participating in art activities or participating in games that gave everyone a way to participate that wasn't necessarily just a physical thing to do. So we really wanted to see where we could go with that. So where we would like to go with this event in 2026, when we can get back into the park, is Expedition, because our bunny is an explorer. So we are really wanting to focus on play, creativity, engagement, and activity that is physically and emotionally inclusive. We still want to keep egg hunts in a smaller fashion, but do them more frequently throughout the event so more kids have a way to participate, again, as the event goes on for a few hours. We are seeing a bunny trail, which would be a way to get organizations and businesses involved. So it's sort of the trunk or treat model. Organizations would have decorated booths or trunks or something like that, tables, and they would have ways to participate, games or activities, and kids would get eggs from those trunks, or excuse me, from the bunny trail activities. We would be able to offer family-friendly entertainment. We would sub-theme each year. So our egg-exploring bunny would be investigating nature, travel, art as the years went on. We would also have opportunities for cost recovery through this event. So keeping in mind that this is where we'd like to see the event go in 2026, and again, we are open to feedback on this. If you think this is silly or if you think this could go a different direction, we would love to hear that. And this is physically what we imagine. We want to know what you would like to see in 2025, because we won't be back in the park in 2025. So 2025 leaves us with this blank space where we can either create a modified version of this event where we're in the Leland Cultural Arts Center again, planning to be indoors, because that's still a possibility, creating a modified bunny trail with those organizations and businesses, planning for the games, activities, art projects, and the visits with the bunny. Or would you like for us to plan? Sure.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So I've participated in this
Yeah.
for, I don't know, as long as my grandchildren have been, 4 years. How big a turnout was there this year when it was inside?
When we're inside, the turnout is somewhere in the 500 range, I
Was there
would
that
guess.
many?
Yeah, it's
But not all at one time.
yeah, not all at one time.
We were there.
Yeah.
We're lingerers.
Yeah.
We linger.
Yeah, and
Because
so
I'm already there, I don't want to go to
Right.
Walmart, and I already know I have to feed everybody.
yeah, some families come in, get their eggs, and go because that's all they're there for.
Because it's cold.
yeah,
There was
It was a
no,
little-
there was
yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
There was,
Right.
again, we linger.
Right.
And it was cold. There was nothing decorative. When you're
Right.
outside, we enjoyed the outside
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Even though we were running, because
Yeah.
I'll knock a kid over if I have to. But, because you're not going to, you know,
Noted.
yeah. But it was cold there. It just,
Yeah.
if we're going to do it
Okay.
back there, it
Yeah.
needs to have some warmth to it.
Okay.
There was nothing warm about it.
yeah, okay,
That was
Noted.
missing,
yeah, okay.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I just wondered if there was a big,
Yeah.
there were 500, I'm surprised there were that many.
Yeah, so.
Because we're 100,000 at the park. when
Yeah,
it was out.
we estimate probably 1,200, between 1,200 and
Where that-
2,000
I
coming to
would've
the
guessed more.
outdoor event, depending on weather, time of year, you know, some,
And it varied by our location choices.
varied by-
Like,
yeah.
We had our best bang when we were at the high school.
absolutely. We had
Was there?
tons of parking
Okay,
at the high
'cause I thought there were
school.
more at North, when it was over on 74, it just seemed like a million people there.
Yeah, and that was, a lot of that was because of the space and how it looks in that space. It's a much more confined space. When, at the high school, we were on the football fields, and it was spread out over the football fields, and there was a ton of parking. Northwest District Park, parking was limited and stressful. I don't know if you had that experience. Some people were late just because of the parking situation.
One more
at Northwest.
question, because I really like the egg hunt thing.
Yeah.
When we went looking for, you know, I remember it was, I can't remember if it was windy, stormy, whatever it was. It was really hard to negotiate where it was gonna be.
Yeah.
It's like we were looking, it's like we already had plans, my daughter-in-law, we already knew we were doing this, but it was like, are we going there or where are we going? So it was really hard to know. We kept looking to see where we had to be.
Absolutely.
So it didn't get advertised like, hey, here's our plan, but Plan B is this.
Absolutely, and that's part of why we're having this discussion now. We plan to have an outdoor event all the way until Wednesday or Thursday.
But there wasn't a plan, when you plan Plan A.
Right.
Here's Plan A, and just in case, kids, here's where we're
Yeah,
going Plan
yeah,
B.
yeah.
Like at the same time.
Okay.
Because this is North Carolina, and
For
we live
sure.
at the ocean, and the weather's
For
probably
sure.
gonna stink somehow, because that's the universe works, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we really, because I like, we moved to a local, you know, so that we could do local things.
Yeah.
We do a lot in Belleville
Yeah.
and here. You know, we do all that stuff. We go to everything.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Sorry, I'm just trying to formulate.
probably
Is
do
there a
too, but
possibility, or is there an opportunity to be at an outdoor venue? Or did I miss that that's not an option?
That can be an option.
Okay.
So we can plan to be in one of the parks. We can plan, not our parks, we can plan to be at a county park. Understanding, again, that weather is gonna weather,
Right.
and we can, you know, we can
Right.
do
I
our
do
best.
think there is, I mean, just to be mindful, I think it is competing resources to say, let's go full-on outdoor. It's hard and to pivot on a dime. Kudos to make that happen. And I absolutely agree with you that, you know, in that short time frame, it's really hard to make the space look inviting.
I'm just,
Right.
yeah.
But so I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, you know, a Plan B is a great idea, but to be able to meet a Plan B at a phenomenal level, I think is a real tall order to try and reach. Especially, I don't know how staffed you are, but it just feels like everybody's spread thin lately. So I'm going to assume you are too.
No comment.
This is being recorded.
I mean, I agree. I think outdoor is, this is just, everybody's itching to be outside at this time of year. And so I think the community want that.
Okay.
And so I would vote to push for outdoor and just hope for the
Fingers
best. You now know how to pivot.
Yeah, yeah.
You know it can work.
Right, and we've got a plan, and like Beth said, if we, you know, are more cognizant of how we market,
Yeah.
you know, the pivot.
Is there a way for the Plan B to potentially be a different date? And so we could still keep the possibility of outdoors?
At this time, with our scheduling, Plan B would need to be after the holiday,
So,
Right.
because our facility is closed for the holiday. So,
Okay, makes sense.
yes, question mark.
Yeah.
So we could, and then we approach the idea of how would you feel about this event, an egg hunt, visits with the bunny, if it were a spring event and not an Easter event? Does it hold the same appeal?
I think the appeal is to keep it at Easter time. And I agree with outside. I think, you know, you have a little more space and places to move around. And you can accommodate a lot more activities in an outdoor space, obviously,
Yeah.
than inside.
Yeah.
I was just going to suggest, I went to an Easter egg hunt, I think it was outside of Charlotte. But in order to keep the chaos down, they had the different stations, which was great. But they also had, with the eggs, they didn't have any candy in them. So the eggs were then turned in, so different colors, like if you got a pink one or something, or I think they had stickers on them too. So some of them were for candy, you could turn them in, some you could turn in for like little erasers or different things.
Yeah.
So it's something to think about and not having to stuff everything, and you can reuse the eggs.
Yeah.
But then also you're controlling how, because I think you were able to get one of each thing you could collect. So it controls like how much you're having to give out for, you know, because sometimes it can get a
Yeah.
little crazy.
Yeah.
Someone gets everything and then one kid gets
Right.
very little.
Very
So you're saying limited, like color coordinating, where you can get one color, one egg of each color to turn in per child? Or
Well,
was
what
it-
they did was, it was like if you got a yellow egg, and you could have more than one yellow, but you only got to turn in for one yellow worth, if that makes sense.
Right.
So you could get yellow was candy, blue was like an eraser thing, and then I can't remember the other things, honestly, what was in there, but there was a couple different colors and you could turn them in for each thing. But even if you had 3 yellows for candy, didn't mean you got more candy, you just got that one, yeah. So I think it was something to think about,
Yeah.
that kind of tames the chaos a little bit, but then limits, you know, the overindulgence for some and not for the
Yeah.
others, so.
Yeah.
I was actually going to suggest a similar thing because I honestly hate egg hunts with my kids.
Okay.
It's like a nightmare. I'd rather just buy my kids a bag of candy than sit there in the stampede. If there was something with more like other activities, I would go. I wouldn't go for just an egg hunt.
Okay.
But one of the farms we go to, they do something similar where it's like you pick a color, you collect 10 eggs of that color, you turn it in, everyone gets a prize, whether
Oh,
it's
I
a
like that,
cup
too.
or a goodie bag or whatever. And to me, that's a lot less chaotic because then it's just steadily going.
And that process of someone going for certain colors kind of feels like you're giving them you're asking them to take a little more time and thought in what they're
a
doing, and not
task.
just
Yeah, you're not just grabbing. Yeah.
right. So I will on a couple notes on this discussion. So we don't have on the staffing side, our staff, we don't have the staff to stuff eggs. We typically are looking at 7, 8, 10,000 eggs that we're putting out for this event or more. We don't stuff 10,000 eggs. We buy pre-stuffed eggs that come pre-stuffed with candy, so that we're not spending months doing that. So if that changes anything that you think about what you just said, I invite that.
Well, and one of the things we also have done, not the last 2 years being indoor, but we have always set aside one box of the eggs, so that's
Yeah.
1,200 eggs.
Right.
And that's for the kids who didn't get enough, and we're able to generously to give them out. So we always set aside about 1,200.
Maybe that kid who runs up at the very last
Right,
minute and
right.
Right, no, it's not sustainable, and I agree with Mallory. We had a love-hate relationship with egg hunts. They just it is, and I am so grateful that you want to make the egg hunt more accessible, emotionally and physically.
Yeah.
That's exactly where I think egg hunts need to go. I really like this idea of not stuffing any eggs. Knowing that you're buying eggs and you're giving them away, I'm thinking too from a Parks and Rec standpoint, and if there is any sort of sustainability goal that this body tries to have. Like I have no idea if there's some sort of pledge or whatever, but I would love to reuse.
Yeah.
You know, and so you never have to stuff. They're always, if they're colored, and if we do this color coding, or if you do this color coding situation, then you're, I would imagine, saving money over time because you're not rebuying
Right.
eggs
Yeah.
every year. And the prizes can be donated at that point. You can have community partnerships, which I'm sure you already do. You know, I would love to. I can't. You know, my kids have aged out of egg hunts, but I think it would have been cool back then to have won like a a free art day or something, things like that to cross-pollinate
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've already done all this and thought of this already.
So another note on the outdoor event is currently the space that we have been using, Northwest District Park, and we can explore some of the other spaces looking at Town Creek and the space that they have, but then we're getting out further outside of Leland. That space that we use is not, doesn't allow a lot of space for other activities besides egg hunts. We're pretty tight in there, as we talked about in the beginning. We're pretty tight in that space for just the egg hunts, little tent setup or a little table setup for prizes. We'll visit with the bunny, and that's about as much room as we've got. The rest of that park is being used at that time on those mornings for athletic practices. And so we're not able to spread out to the rest of that park. So if that, again, if that changes, any thoughts on what you said?
Is the high school
about-
not an option?
The high school is no longer an option due to refinishing of, resurfacing of
They
fields.
love that fake grass.
They have a very precious football field.
Yeah, it was when they put in the new turf that they told us we couldn't use it anymore.
Really?
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
So, what is the reasoning for not being able to use Founders Hall? Or, the Founders Park,
Grass.
So there won't be okay, gotcha.
We will- Our
okay,
grass is gonna
sorry.
be seeding in, is gonna be rooting, and we're about a month early on this event.
Yeah.
So to me, it almost seems like unless you can do it like the vision you have, to maybe wait another
Okay.
year and just simplify it for 2025, because it seems like you're limited with the space and keeping it close into Leland. And then for 26, that's when you hit what you have planned, in my opinion, would seem
Okay.
like the right way to go. But
Excellent.
Yeah, let me just give you guys a little bit more information, because Neil and I have talked about this, and he's talked about this with council already. Unfortunately, the timing of the completion of the park, the area in front of the amphitheater, which is the largest area that we probably would use for this type of event, is going to be sodded, and that sod will go down when it's dormant, and it will not start to grow in and really germinate and really root in really good until it's a Bermuda turf, and so that will not occur until May, June, and July. So that grow-in season. So we have made a decision as a town that we're going to push back the grand opening and push back big events in the park until that turf has really rooted in good, so that we do not damage it and cause further problems, which could impact programs in the future. So we've made a conscious decision, and that's the reason we will not be in there this
Makes
upcoming spring.
What about the middle school? If the high school is no longer available and it was the artificial turf issue, the middle school doesn't have that issue.
We can explore the middle school. The last time we looked at that space, they did not have as much space as we needed.
Right. Well, and
But
parking
again, we
is
can-
not
Right.
ideal there, I
Yeah,
get that.
they do not have a lot of parking spaces. Their fields are a little more spread out, but it is something we can reassess.
Is Northwest just not an option anymore?
Northwest High School, no.
No, the park.
Oh, Northwest District Park, I'm sorry.
The park.
Northwest District Park can be an option, but again, that was where I said, that's where we've had it for the last several years, but that is a tight space, and we're not able to put
Yeah,
anything
because-
besides egg hunts
Yeah, because
in that
that's a
space.
county park, so they literally tell us exactly which part of the park we can set up in.
Yeah. We're limited to the space that is not athletic field. So if you look at that park, there's soccer fields,
Yeah,
softball
no,
fields.
we go there a lot.
And all of those fields are in use for athletic practices on those mornings or competition on those mornings that we do that event. And we're limited to the single section that we use for egg hunt that is just kind of the play section.
Could we
Those
ask
regulars.
them, and I don't know if it's bigger or smaller, I've been back there, but there is a huge, big open area at Northwest Park behind the ball fields.
Okay,
If you're looking at the park, the back left, or
okay.
the back left,
Yep.
might be something
Yeah.
for us to look at.
Sure.
But I don't know if that's any bigger than the space they give us up front.
Sure.
But it might be. I know it's a
Absolutely.
huge area.
Yeah, I'll ask. Yeah. And you're thinking move everything to the back?
Yeah, because there's another covered area
Okay.
with the picnic tables there in front of that, and then it just it almost does like a V shape and opens
Yeah.
wide up behind the ball fields.
Yeah, all right,
I know what you're talking about.
yeah, I'll ask. All right, any other thoughts on this event? before we move forward. All right. So next we're going to talk about movies in the park. Pre-COVID, we had a fairly robust family movie program. Every other weekend, every few weekends, we would show rated G or PG movies. We would typically get in the 100 to 200, sometimes as much as 300 people at each of these movies, depending on what titles we were showing. We would have movies games or music before the event to get people excited. Kids were playing on the playground. During COVID, things changed with how families watched movies. And when we came back from COVID to try to have these events, we saw a huge decline in participation in these events, and we were getting typically around 50 people at these events. With the closure of the park, we moved these events indoors, and we saw even fewer people. We saw 25 or so, or less, at these events. And so that was an indication, one, that people really valued still going out to the park for these events, but two, how people were viewing movies was changing, obviously. People had Netflix, people had Disney Plus, people had Hulu. They were seeing movies in their homes before we were able to get access through our long distribution system. And we weren't sure that this event was still relevant. So our question for you is, how do you feel about these events? Do you feel like the family movies in the park is still relevant? Is this something that you would like to see change to a wider spectrum of films so that there are more date night movies with different programming attached to them? Would you like to see this pivot to different family-friendly events, different family-friendly entertainment, which could be off the top of my head, could be plays in the park, could be children's performers, any number of things, but not necessarily the movies that you can already watch in your living room. So, open questions about what you would like to see.
Personally, I hate sitting to watch a movie. I have no desire to sit there for several hours. I just can't do it. So, I've never been to them. And I know that Belleville does them too. And with Belleville being so close, I'm sure that kind of divides some of that participation. I would love to see some more family-friendly kind of things. Like, I don't know if you could even do like karaoke or something, something kind of fun and different to bring people out. But for me, I'm a no for movies, but I may not.
I love going to the movies. I'm the opposite. But what if we pivoted and instead of it being like we're going to show, what's the Inside Out 2 or whatever, something new. What if you bill it more around like throwback, like we're going to show Pinocchio, or whatever, like movies that, yes, they can go on Disney Plus and watch it, but they're watching all the current movies, so we bill it around the throwback concept. Like, I like this one at the bottom where you talked about doing like a date night movie, Dirty Dancing, like keep it to like classics and not focus on getting people to come see a movie that maybe they just saw a few months ago in the theater.
So I think if you could stream the Eras Tour and get friendship bracelets, I think you're on the right track. I think
Motion we scratch that.
I might be onto something. We can try. I think we're both onto something. I think relevancy is huge, and that is so hard to get the pulse on what is relevant. But I mean, when you cancel a concert and Swifties show up in the town square, and they're hosting their own concert, you've got a devoted fan base. There's a lot of breweries that are starting to do silent discos, where you can get that stuff. I mean, that stuff would be fun to do outside, to just, everybody's dancing to a different thing. For teenagers, they just need a safe place to hang. And I don't know what would bring them, because they're the mythical creatures. We don't know that they exist. And they're so subculture right now. It's so hard to tap into them. But honestly, and this is probably going to be a no for so many different safety reasons, attorney, but like a bonfire. something, but like a man or a s'mores night, you know, or something that brings families together, but maybe could target age groups. But quite honestly, my recommendation is before targeting the teen audience, you reach out to the local middle school and high school and really tap into what those teens like to do.
Yeah.
Your super captive audience is your middle schoolers because they want to be away from their parents, but they're not old enough to do it on their own.
Right.
And they are desperate for entertainment. And so, you know, maybe even, and this is odd, if you can get outside of the G-rate movie, does it have to be G-rated, or can you be controversial?
That's a question for this guy.
Okay. When my twins were in middle school, they were desperate to watch horror movies. That was like doing, and it was classic horror movies, like watching Scream. And to your thought on the throwback, is if there's a new movie coming out, educate the community on the originals, because there seems to be a lot of, you know, like when Ghostbusters comes out, well, Beetlejuice is out, so we should be watching the old Beetlejuice before we watch the new Beetlejuice. You know, it's that type of thing that might be fun to get people together.
I like the horror movie idea. That's fun.
They want.
I mean, and you bill it like that. People know what they're coming to. It's not like
Right.
movies at the park and it's a slasher flick. But
And there's a wide range. There's a wide range
You
of
can just
horror
put, like,
movies.
you know, Leland Fright Night, you know,
Right,
like,
right.
and so that would just be, you know, and do Carrie, or so, you know, I mean, just that really that I think will get them going.
And maybe that's what it is, like a variety pack of things. Maybe it is like a date night movie night, and then a horror movie night, and then a family night of just, I liked your ideas of like s'mores, like, you know, just something kind of, so maybe it's not like focusing on one type of thing, but just kind of I know that's more planning if you don't.
Well,
But-
also, you know what's really catching on that I'm seeing is drum circles. You know, Sunset Beach does drum circle every Monday, and there are people that are driving from Leland and Wilmington to go to the drum circle. And now Wilmington, there's one area that's trying to do it. But if you could get a drum circle forming where people can come out, and you know, I mean, we know Asheville does this.
I was
and-
about to say, I love the drum circle in Nashville.
Right.
It's so
you
fun.
just show up, you know, and you could even invite some vendors to come out to have beverages, and you just make it casual. But you have to obviously bring in some professional drummers to get it started. But then you invite people to join in on the circle. If you that I think would be fun. But what I think with the drum circle is that it's something that happens regularly, so that you're not always going, wait, when is it? It's like, no, it's every Friday at 5, or it's every Saturday at, you know, what, sundown.
Yeah. Have any of you participated in these drum circles?
When I was
Okay.
younger, but but I'm not driving all the way.
Okay.
I would do it
I was high.
if it was. Yeah. Tell us more.
70s.
It was everything was the 70s.
Yeah, but I was just going to comment, that's kind of a brilliant idea, and it's a couple of other things that we had talked about. I'll touch base on the drums first. You talk about with the youth, particularly as we're getting ready to go into Friday night football in our community, both in Leland, Brunswick County, and New Hanover County. You know, maybe something like a drumline night where we bring the drum lines from the local high schools and do some sort of competition, which brings the kids out,
That's fun.
which might kick something off there. But we also, back to the movies a little bit, we've talked about themes around the horror movie, around Halloween, but we also talked about maybe focusing on movies that were filmed in and around Leland and the local community to tie back into. We mentioned Maximum Overdrive going back and others. And so those are some of the things that, just in addition to those ideas that we're looking at as well.
Yeah. Well, and about the drum line, there's this is popping up in I think Atlanta has one, but around MLK doing a 5K drum line, and you're inviting you know, every quarter mile, half mile, or not half mile, but you know, whatever, you space it out. But you have a different drum line from the area community that's keeping the beat as you run the 5K. But I would love to see Leland support a 5K, because once you've got, I walk it. When I take my son to soccer, I'm walking from North Brunswick all the way to Founders Park, and it's almost 3 miles. So you could easily do a 5K starting at Founders, going to North Brunswick, and making your way back.
And to that point, that's something that we could start as just a fun run to test the waters right in the park without going beyond our.
And the North Brunswick band is desperate for visibility. They would love to partner. I'm not going to speak for them because I don't have anyone in it, but I do have connections with some people that are on the booster for the band, and they would love to be more visible, but also to raise money. And so if the fund run, if the ticket sales from the fund run could help support and sponsor them, I think people would come out for that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Everybody loves to support their local school.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I thought, we go down every year. Oak Island started doing a lantern walk on New Year's Day at sunset, and so we've been driving down the last 2 years. It's grown. It was like 200 people went 2 years ago and 400 the other. And I keep getting angry that I'm driving all the way down. Like, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, but again, why am I driving all the way down there when we could be here doing something very similar? And then
Oceanfront.
Part of it's oceanfront, but you're walking, and then you're turning right back around and walking back. And yes, it's oceanfront, but honestly, I think it's more that it is. It's beautiful to see. Like, it's beautiful pictures at dusk. Everybody's holding a homemade lantern. You could even, lead up to it, have art event where you make lanterns. I mean, and if this really grows, it turns into cruise similar to Mardi Gras, where like you get neighborhoods or groups that come together and do these really elaborate themes. And there's a lot of artists in this area that could eventually, have a contest to see who had the coolest crew to do this. You don't have to do it on New Year's as a lantern walk. I mean, it could happen anytime. But when Leland and Lights comes back up, New Year's is kind of fun because you'll be so beautifully decorated.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
These are things that I think about on the side.
I love it. All right. Anybody else? Any other thoughts? All right. Yeah.
This might be the time. Sorry, I was making notes.
Love it.
Block Island does this really, really cool thing where they hide floats all in the summer. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I
Because
do.
CBS, and it
I'll
even made
contain myself.
national news. CBS promoted it. But like people like, well, what are you from Block
I've been
Island?
talking about this for 2 years.
See, we were meant to be. Zoe, you can cry right now. It's okay. I don't have anything to help you with. I don't have any tissue. But no, I don't know what the art idea would be, but I think what really gets people going is the hunt. It's bringing you to come hunt and randomly, and it's that random, like, I may one day find something. And you could put it in Founders Park, but in all of your parks. And, you make them limited run, whatever it is, whether it's glass or not. But yeah, and we also down in, I would vacation just to go there. I have family in Rhode Island, but we were purposely going to make ourselves go out to Block Island just to try and find one because it was such a
What
cool
did they hide?
thing. There's a glass studio, and they make what they call floats, but basically it's just a glass ornament, and they stamp them, and there's a limited run. There's like 3. So at the beginning of summer, at the tourist season, they have a group of volunteers that will go and hide all through Block Island these floats, and people try to find them. And they've got a whole Facebook group that does this. Tourism has really taken off. People are coming from all over the country to just get one of these floats, and it's becoming like a family tradition where a lot of families are saying, we'll go every year, we want to find a float. They don't put all the floats out at the same time, so that they put, a certain number out at the beginning of the season, and then every week they replenish or they check on it. And then there's like a neat social media where you can log your float.
Yeah, you register it almost like geocaching, and so then you can see where all of the floats have gone around the world after they've been found.
Okay.
And they're modeled after fishing floats because it's a fishing community.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know what Leland would do, but my goodness, like that would
In
be...
Holden Beach, before Holden Beach got insane, the locals used to paint rocks. They would find flat rocks, and they would paint whatever little funky, thing on it, a daisy or a peace sign or whatever. And they would hide them around Holden Beach, and then when Holden Beach, before it became a political page, and it was friendly, people would find them, and tourists especially, they'd like, I found this rock under, blah, 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 and everybody would get excited. I mean, it would be the local people painting rocks. And, it just wasn't rich people finding stuff, it was just the local people
Right.
finding stuff.
It's like
I mean, I'm not
little
dissing the rich.
doing little things like that. I mean, I think is where we're at, is that people are kind of want that little extra nugget of,
Hide 'em at
getting
Walmart.
outside. The other thing is down in, it was in St. Simon's Island. I think they have artists that will carve faces. They're called like the tree spirits, and it's along their multi-pass trail. So to get people to bike more, they say, can you find the tree spirits? And so these artists have carved when a branch falls down or when a tree falls over in the stump, they leave the stump and they make a carving or something. And it gets you to bike around the community to try and find all the tree spirits. And like you can go back to, if you start at Town Hall, you can get like a little pamphlet in the visitors area that tells you where they all are so that you can go try and find them while you're riding your bike through the community. So I don't know if we're fully connected yet on the multipass. It feels like we are in certain areas, but not everywhere.
No.
But that would be fun to just have something artistic along the multipass that could then be advertised. Like we vacation there specifically because Pinterest told me that was there. Like this is how weird we are when we go vacation. But it's that kind of stuff that I think brings in tourism, but also gets people outside.
Yeah. Yeah, and these are also things that we can take to the public art discussion as we talk about growing the public art program within the town.
Yep. So that is sorry, I won't monopolize. I think that was it on my list of, I know that the city of Wilmington does the River to Sea, and that's how they promote their multi-pass and their city trails. And we know Brunswick County is hosting the Gullah Geechee corridor, but I'm curious, does Leland have the capacity to ever do something for Leland? I don't know where we're at. I don't know where we're at as far as how connected. I know that I can get myself from Mallory Creek to the beer and cider place on my bike, and that's about all I know I can do.
So, no, we're certainly not there yet.
Okay.
We're on the way with a lot of bike paths and things like that. But as far as like a fully connected like Greenway trail system, we're still some years away from that. But we are certainly making progress on that. We got several grant applications out for things like that, and what we're actually looking to do is do a kind of a comprehensive Greenway plan for the community, and that's something that we've got our grant folks on the lookout for, grant opportunities for that, because I think we really need to get a little bit better, a little bit further down the road on where all that connectivity is going to go. Because frankly, we've done some Greenway looking over the years, but things are moving so quickly, and there's a lot of development, and so opportunities that kind of come up, you kind of got to get them while they're there, particularly for paths and such. But I think we're in a much better place than we were a few years ago, but we're probably not quite yet to have we have a trail path system that we would want to invite a lot of tourism. We're just not quite there yet.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
All right. Last one for me. We're going to talk about the reopening of Founders Park. Right now, what we're envisioning is a 2-day event, a Thursday and a Friday, that are going to back up to Memorial Day. The Thursday night would echo our concert series, our regular concert series, that would then continue through the late spring and summer, as Tim talked about earlier with our schedule of events. The Friday night concert would be a special Memorial Day weekend concert. We're looking at Brunswick Big Band or Wilmington Big Band as potential performers to have something special that's kind of outside of our normal range. Both of these events, we would be incorporating food trucks as we do with most of our outdoor events. And then we would like to or partner with the swing dance organization from Wilmington, who we've got a nice partnership with currently, to make sure that we've got some engagement and physical activity happening. They do a great job in our normal partnership of providing lessons at our events, and getting people dancing even if they don't know how to swing dance. So this is what we've got in mind, park pending. And then we've got some additional feature options that we've discussed as a staff as things that we thought might be exciting. But what we want to hear again is what you think might be exciting. Are any of these things appealing to you? Would you come to an event like this, one or both of these nights? Would you be excited about giant cakes and balloon arches and light up wristbands and a drone show? Or would you like to see something different or more?
I will be at a drone show.
Absolutely. Wilmington just posted that they're going to do a drone for, was it Azalea Festival?
Riverfest.
Riverfest.
Sorry. And said, and there's a lot of hate and discontent over it, but I think it's something kind of interesting and different. I've never seen one, but I think it'd be interesting. It's expensive too, but I guess it's cheaper than, well, when Wilmington posts about it, it's cheaper than doing fireworks off the block.
Safer.
Yeah, safer.
Not a fan of balloon arches for, I mean, unless they're sustainable, and I think they have now biodegradable ones. Drone show sounds super cool. But I didn't realize that there was backlash when they posted. Is it backlash?
There's backlash for
For
everything.
everything. I mean, you just have people
As soon as they put it on
complain.
Facebook.
Yeah, people
But
complain,
every
but I think
fireworks
it's interesting,
show
different.
has next door and a riot over my dogs, or, someone's dogs.
Yeah.
And so I think there's never, you're right, you're never gonna please
Right. Absolutely.
the majority. But it is neat that you're doing something different. That gets people's attention. This is a little out there and might not be in the cards, but trying to figure out how to do a Guinness Book of World Records where you get the community involved to participate could be super cool and would get you some earned media.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that would be, but
The biggest cake.
yeah, or like the most people do it. I mean, there's, and Guinness, and it's my understanding, you can work with them, you can reach out to them and say, hey, we want to earn something, can you help us walk through what that would be? And they'll tell you, here are the things that haven't been done before, would you like to try and beat this record or this record or that record? And, it's hard. I feel like I've said this to you guys before in passing. Now it's officially in the records. But I would come out for that. We're not a band family.
Okay.
And maybe, that's on us.
I don't know what?
So I don't know. But it depends on the band.
Okay, so is there a type of live performance that is more appealing? If your family doesn't prefer to come to live music, live bands, is there a type of live performance that is more appealing?
I mean, I don't know that we're a good bellwether for that. It's just, if it's I don't know. We just haven't made the effort to get out. And our friend group is not, for some reason, it's just not something that we all say, oh yeah, we should all get together and go do this. But that doesn't mean I don't have other friends that are doing that. So I don't think we're a good example of what would be good music.
Yeah. Or if you guys have comments about local bands or a band that you would come out for,
Yeah.
it'd be good for us to know, particularly as we look at our budget and what actually is a reality within the means that we have available.
Right.
Taylor Swift would be out of our price range, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But, if you had
wouldn't come.
comments or suggestions for bands, we'd love to hear it.
Particularly after we pay for the drone show.
Audio melt.
So I think that anybody that's going to hear that our park is reopened, having grand opening, because everything else I've come to has had a crowd. Please don't get a giant cake. We get bugs here even after it's been finished. Please don't get a giant cake, because I'm not going to let the kids eat it, because you can't control. There's going to be hands. Go get cupcakes. Go get 1 million cupcakes if you want. If you want to break some kind of record, but a giant cake is just going to be disgusting outside in June, May. It's going to be nasty. Please don't do that. If you get whipped cream, it's going to melt. If you get buttercream, it's going to be all over people. No, don't get a giant cake. It seems nice, but it's gonna be nasty. But yeah, I have to disagree with you on the bands. People aren't coming for the band. They're coming because it's a community thing. But they're not coming people like certain bands. As a rule, I don't always like what's here. And I definitely wouldn't come for Taylor Swift, so please don't spend the money. For me, anyway, I would go the other direction. But, not them either. But people are gonna come because we've all been waiting in Leland for this park to reopen. I mean, even people that live on the other side, I live right next door, but people that even live on the other side of town are excited for this park to open because, well, we've been waiting, so anything that you wait for is exciting. So I don't think it matters what you do, but every little child wants that light-up wristband. I want a light-up wristband. You know, are you talking about the little ones that you snap and light up? Because you've done that before.
Could be something bigger and better, we're not sure.
No, but.
Oh, yeah, they make them these days where they're synced
Yes.
up and you make
Yeah,
patterns.
no, but there's not a child I want one of
Yeah,
those.
they want
So-
the glow stick wristbands, but if you give them the ones that,
I
sync
want
to the
something
music,
cool, but I
plays
like
Taylor
those.
Swift,
Especially the
then-
ones, because you can put them in the freezer and they'll last to the next
Oh, yeah.
day, if you do that. But just don't do a giant cake, that's just gonna be
Yeah.
nasty. That's
Noted.
gonna be nasty, but yeah, I think anybody in town that place is gonna be packed, you're not gonna have parking. You're gonna have to figure out secondary parking, because I think that when we have a grand opening, we came here for after
Yeah.
daycare a lot, and it was always
Yeah.
crowded.
Yeah.
That is gonna be a full house.
So an important note is that we will have additional parking with the new park, that they're adding parking. But for most of our major events, we do have off-site parking,
Yeah.
and we have a shuttle.
Yeah,
that
no, but
brings
I'm
people
just,
to and
I don't
from.
think you're gonna have a
Yeah.
problem. And I like the idea of the local, if we could find local, I don't
Yeah.
think you need to spend a lot of money on bands. I think that some of the local bands would be happy just to show up.
Yeah.
You know, if we talk to some of the local people that just need the,
Exposure.
Yeah, well, and you make a really good point, Beth. I don't think you should serve food. I think you should let vendors serve food. Like, don't compete with, let them deal with that and put your resources towards
oh, we need cupcakes.
things that, well, don't even like, I mean, if you want to do cake for staff and everybody, yes, but I don't think I don't think you need to offer that to the community. There's so many different things, like let the food service industry provide food for the event. Y'all focus on entertainment and hype and vibe.
Is it possible, I know that a lot of people were upset when the Christmas parade went away. Is there any way that you can like incorporate a parade kind of, like bring that back? Or is there a reason why, you hear lots, everyone complain about it, but what's the reasoning why, or does anyone know why the parade went away? Oh, might be a sensitive
It's,
topic.
It's deep.
Is it deep?
I'm not gonna go into all that for tonight. We'd be happy to speak with you kind of offhand, but there's certainly concerns about parades. There's certainly safety and liability concerns with the parades, and also to getting enough participation to make a parade really the parade that we think that a parade should be. So there are certainly things like that. However, I will say that with the new park, I think we have a much better route that would allow for something like that. It's maybe a smaller scale parade, maybe some type of golf cart type parade or small floats or things like that, because what we've got now, Perry Avenue does not, as of today, connect through from Village Road to Old Fayetteville Road. This project will make that happen. So you will actually have a pretty good block structure here where you could do something of a small scale like that I think could be potentially feasible. Now, am I saying you're going to get all the fire trucks from Brunswick County and 18 wheelers and stuff? No. But something on a smaller scale, I think, is a much more doable thing, and something that we should probably take into consideration.
I mean, even something like a bike parade where kids decorate
Absolutely.
their bikes and you have neighborhoods, like, or something just like simple, smaller scale, but still kind of brings back that like parade feel a little bit, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just
I
kind of thinking out
think
loud.
that's great feedback. I think that's really good.
Well, there's a parade story, huh?
I mean, the Founders
Great
Park
story.
is going to have a memorial, right? And you're
Yeah.
launching on Memorial Day, so is there a ceremony or is there a component where you're going to highlight Memorial Weekend and this Memorial? 'Cause I'm sorry, I'm a little behind. I don't know what the memorial feature really looks like.
Yeah, I don't know that we have thought that much in depth in reference to the combination of grand opening being near Memorial Day and the Veterans Memorial Park. I think those are conversations that are still to be had. But most definitely, the opportunity exists for us to think about that in more detail.
Right, because the tone then is a little different, because Memorial Day is a more somber event for our service members who died, as opposed to Veterans Day, which is supporting the troops. And so I just want to make sure that we flag that.
And I'll say that because we are doing this over several days, we have an opportunity to separate this out into multiple celebrations, multiple opportunities.
Yeah.
So if we want to do a daytime memorial service and then an evening performance, or a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we have those opportunities because we are talking about this so far out. With reference to the parade, I'm going to say that what you described with the lanterns and the crews, to me, it sounds an awful lot like a parade. And that all sounded like it was on foot.
Yeah.
Which is something, again, we could do within the footprint of the park here, or using the multi-use path, if we so choose to go that route. So as we talk about where we're going with a parade or whatever we would call it, those are all things to consider. What we want that to feel like and look like. So. Yeah. Anything else? Anything else you want to see here? All right. Thank you.
Well, I will try and wrap us up here. I know we have just a little bit more business. This is just a point of information for you. Our team over the past 7 or 8 months has been working on a 10-year look back on PRCR operations in reference to revenue generated expenditures, basically our operational aspects of both PRCR and the Leland Cultural Arts Center, both from a program participation perspective and the types of classes and the types of programs we've been offering. We're going to wrap that up here pretty soon and just do a brief presentation for you what the last 10 years have looked like, just so you have a sense of what our operation has entailed and what it could be in the future as we move forward. And so just a point of information, we just wanted to leave that with you tonight to let you know that we're already looking ahead to the October meeting and trying to present some information for you. I'm going to end us here just with questions, feedback, or resources, anything lastly that you guys might want to share, and I'll turn it back over to Neil and Sabrina for some of the last business that needs to happen. Any other comments you guys might be interested in sharing, or feedback?
Good.
I think one last thing that I had on my notes is just flagging when the school system spring break is, so that splash pad, if it is available to open, that it could be open before spring break. That would be a real good gift to the community.
Yeah, we will definitely look at that. I don't know that we had planned that far in advance yet, so we'll be looking at those, because we still got to settle on rules and regulations and policies and procedures, but we'll definitely look at that. All right. Thank you.
Moving on to old and new business, the integrated mobility plan.
So, first of all, thank y'all. Great discussion tonight. I think this has been at least one of the better Parks Board meetings that I've seen in a while. So I appreciate everyone's engagement tonight. Moving on to the integrated mobility plan, representative. You might have read this memo in your packet, but our planning department is undertaking a pretty Herculean task of working on a project called the Integrated Mobility Plan. And what this is a plan to consolidate plans. So we have a bike plan. The town of Wheeling has a bike plan that's pretty old and outdated from 2008. Actually, one of the first things that I worked on here many years ago, if that tells you how long that was. And then also we have a pedestrian plan, and then we have let's see all the plans that we can think of. A street connectivity plan. We've got a number of different transportation-related plans. This effort puts all those plans together into one singular plan, references those. So when it's integrated mobility, we're talking vehicular transportation, we're talking pedestrian transportation, we're talking about the multi-use paths that you're talking about, the sidewalks and the like. So this is a really great opportunity for us to really get a better transportation plan for the town. And so what they are looking for, planning board's looking for, is focus group members, and they've asked a Parks and Recreation Board member to serve on that IMP focus group. It's not a lot of heavy lifting for the focus group. You're going to have 3 meetings during the mobility plan. The first meeting would be in September, and that's going to be after their policy review and assessment. So kind of just like, hey, here's kind of what we found, here's what we're looking at. The second meeting would be in early 2025 after the alternatives development and assessment. So that's once the consultants gotten into the plan a little bit more. And then finally, the third meeting, once they have the draft, to get the feedback on the draft plan there. So again, it's not the planning department doing this in and of themselves. This is a consultant that's coming in to facilitate this, so don't worry. It's not like we're going to give you homework and you're going to have to go back and do a whole lot of extra credit work there. But I think it is important that someone who's particularly looking out for those recreational aspects of transportation to be involved with that. So I would like to ask the chair to see if anyone would be interested in serving on this focus group.
Is anyone interested in serving on that post?
They could appoint people that aren't here.
And you can also appoint people.
Can we
who aren't-
nominate Art and Michael?
Yeah, you could.
I'm just kidding.
Art might actually.
By default.
I don't know.
He probably would.
I feel like that
Could we,
come back.
come back to it, or maybe send an email, because that actually is something Art
I
might be
feel like
interested
Art
in.
might be something he would be interested in doing.
I mean, it'd have to be, because it's next month.
Yeah, the first meeting's gonna be next month. So I mean, you may be able to maybe we'll do.
And do an alternate
Yeah,
piece.
that's what I was gonna say. Why don't we do? Why don't you do this? If you'd like to appoint Art for that, you could make a motion to appoint him, but then appoint someone that is present tonight as an alternate, in case Art can't do it.
I don't want to do it.
What is the date of the meeting in September?
They don't have a date yet. I think they're gonna get concurrence from the members who are gonna be on there. Right now, we're just trying to find members to be on there. They appointed someone from the planning board last night and the parks board tonight.
I don't have a real passion for it, but I'll do it.
Great.
I'll figure out what it is. It's only
As
3
the
meetings. I
primary
can.
Or the
Well,
alternate.
and we can shift it over to Art if he's interested.
Yeah, I'll take it, and then we'll reach out to Art, because I feel like it might be something up his alley. But if not, I'll take it.
Okay. Can someone make a motion to that effect?
I make a motion.
A second.
I'll take it.
Any all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
Great. Thank you so much. Your monthly staff report is in your packet there. So if you have any questions about that, I'll be happy to answer what I can. But if not, that's all we have for you.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Our next meeting will be October 30th, 6 p.m. here at Town Hall again.